Professor Aloysius, you are now working on Periyar and the legacy of the self-respect movement and elaborately translating his work. And also there is a need for translating Pandit Ayodhya Dasar, because he is not that much introduced and popularized in other cultural locations in India, within India and outside. So could you elaborate on this legacy of the real Dravidian legacy, beginning with Ayodhya Dasar and then developing towards Periyar and all? Could you?
Yeah, it's a slightly complex, and it's not possible. See, one of the basic principles is English is the language.
Oh, right.
Unless until certain things come in English, we can keep on talking in the seminar.
Okay.
But it is still the English.
Right.
So unless something comes in English, the thing works. So I thought there could be a very good function that bring out these things in English.
Yeah.
And I found even Satyasiam, which is Savadharan Ayyappan's small booklet,
Right.
it has not been translated.
Yeah.
You see, what I found the problem, this nationalist hegemony by nationalist patriots and so-called nationalists and so on, is maintained more because of English.
Right.
English articulations everywhere and all, that's a subordinated vernacular articulation. These are regional and that is national and all that. So one of the things that requires to be broken very seriously is that all these things require translation into English.
Right.
And I am actually interested in translating in Hindi into English, because there is another myth that anti-caste, pro-national, pro-nation movements are limited to the south and some to the Bombay and all. It's not true. All over the country we had anti-caste the trajectory being the same from all directions. They are all attacking, I mean. So this has to be brought, unless the mega hegemonic concepts are recast.
Right.
You cannot do anything on the ground level.
Right.
You see, ideology, how ideology works in different societies are different. Most of the time I find in seminars and writings and things and that, there is a monolithic understanding of ideology. And also, that infrastructure and the base and superstructure and all that, ultimate analysis, ultimate decision is economy. Ultimate decision is economy in certain types of character at certain types of stages.
Yes.
In our culture, in so-called our culture, it is a superstructure that drives the economy.
Right.
So the ideological transformation at the ideal mega level is most important, and that is simply possible only by bringing and unifying all these so-called vernacular literatures into a mainstream academic thing.
Right.
And as a part of that, I am trying to do that.
Okay. So in this context of talking about the socio-cultural specificities of the region, you have written a few books on the region. Can you elaborate on this new perspective? The region, the area.
I had 2 years stint in HCU and at Central University.
Right.
And that was with the regional studies.
Right.
It was with the regional studies. You see, naturally with Tamils, because of our experience, Ambedkar, Periyar, Ayodhya Dasar and all that, many of what things are new to the North Indians are well accepted in already known to all people in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
And they value things like anti-caste. Now Tamil Nadu, now of course you see, like a part of the whole thing is sliding backwards. Deleting all the experiences.
Yeah, in Kerala also, reactionary backlashes have happened.
There. But it's even still, caste is considered as something dirty, something to be avoided, something to be hidden, something to be forgotten.
Yeah, silenced.
Silenced. It is not so in the north.
No.
North, everybody is very comfortable with the idea of, and it's the caste as a functional utility to the society and so on and so forth. So when I started doing this, and the background is Periyar demanded separate state.
A nation.
And they demanded in the name of Dravida. I find there's something for me to work on continuously, also to communicate to others also. First 38 years, till 1938, Periyar was ruthless and rationalist.
Exactly.
All Palamai, the tradition should be deleted and all that kind of
demolished
thing and all that and so on. And everything should go and all that. Anyway, with the Palamai we had was mostly a rubbish thing. But that. Then, in 98, Rajaji became the first Prime Minister. And the first thing he did was he imposed Hindi. Okay. First time they come to power. Before that it was a Justice Party and all that were there. And the first time Congress came to power, they imposed Hindi. Then his light dawned on this man. This whole thing is slightly different. I mean, where do I put my rationality? How do I express this rationality? It's not cosmopolitan, individuated rationality applicable everywhere. No, here it is, we are having a confrontation with the specific culture. So how do I apply my rationality in my culture? And that is Dravida. For him, that is Dravida. Of course, the concept didn't start with him. It started with Ayodhya and even before Ayodhya and it has certain colonial connotations also. G. Pope discovered the family of languages called Dravidian and all that kind of thing. All that ambiguities also to some extent is found in Periyar also. But then the Periyar basic thrust is Dravidam means modernized Tamil. A Tamil which is detached from religion, a Tamil which is individuated, a Tamil which has become scientific, a Tamil which is reformed is called Dravida. So that what he was doing is, he was inserting his rational ideas and so on and so forth into a specific Tamil culture so that the hitherto existing casteist, fragmented, hierarchicalized culture slowly gets transformed into unified, egalitarian and rationalistic culture and remain Tamil Nadu as a continuity. See, that's where you get a continuity with the break. Simply, we break with the tradition, but our rationality is rationalized tradition. That's where my certain understanding comes in about culture. That monolithic cultures, that is stupid. Even today, East, West, your culture, my culture, all this nonsense. Every culture is a acclimatized accommodation of contradictory elements and forgotten as contradiction. Reified power differences, power confrontations is called culture. Reified and forgotten and all that. I have been giving a lot of lectures, culture and power and all that. But in examples, I don't take from the books. Examples have to be from he said he had two chairs, three of us come. And two people grab and one man looks here and there and then finally sits down. Okay. Next day, same three people come. Who is likely to sit down on the ground? People will also say, yesterday the fellow who couldn't get a seat is likely to sit down on the thing. So as days go on, that fellow comes for the first, he comes first. But then where does he go and sit? Sit on the ground. This has become a culture, sir, for us.
Custom
the custom and tradition and all. That power differentials is not looked upon as power differentials. It has come to be understood as a traditional, in the name of tradition, culture, etc., etc. And I have given several examples there. That when at home he cooked meat, the man who never enters the kitchen on that day, he is there. And he doesn't go out that day till it's cooked and all that. And he sits and eats and all that. The ladies see him eat and all that. What is left over, they keep it for him in the evening also, he will eat and all that. After that and all that, slowly the women in our families don't eat meat. And the women themselves will say, today Rufus was saying, why is it there is dominance, there is resistance? Not so. Not so always. He was talking about a transformed modern society in the West.
Right.
He said, Dalali, you know Hindi a little bit?
Yeah.
Dalali karne se better in India, you start confronting, you lose what you have. You become a kind of stooge and a broker and all that kind of thing. You gain a lot.
Okay. Dalali means? Hindi mein?
Brokerage.
Okay. Brokerage. Okay.
A kind of go-between.
Right. Mediation.
They say our people have developed Dalali, Damki. Damki is
threatening.
Mamuli.
Mamuli means customer. Okay.
Bribing.
Bribing.
Give me mamul.
Okay, bribe.
So these are the
originally
three mechanisms.
It's from Pali. This mamuli is from Pali. Originally it is canonical kind of thing.
India today manages the confrontational situation in which he wants to drive advantage, uses these three.
Okay.
Wherever he said, you know where I am from, shall I take the phone? That's possible in some places, for some people.
Yeah.
And for some many it is not possible. Sir, you are also from my village, sir. Sir, Dalali.
Okay.
Sir, so you want to bring something, sir? I will bring, sir.
Okay.
Both are, for us middle class people, all these are very difficult.
Right.
So far we call Mamuli.
Okay.
Along with the application form, we put some money and then that passes. And that is accepted.
Right.
It's accepted.
Right.
Resistance, you try resistance, you go to your university clerk and try to resist. This is my right. I have a right to go on invitation from abroad or a seminar. I am going. You are definitely you are not going. You are not going.
Right.
Professors.
Right.
Very senior professors.
Yeah.
In front of the very junior clerk. He said he'll have to stand. He cannot even sit.
Yeah.
The cultural specificity which has come about in India today, you cannot keep on reciting Hogarth, Derrida and Gramsci and all that and then call the problems here we have is individual.
Okay.
It is structural, cultural, brought about in history.
Right.
No? That's a small contribution I like to make today. Nationalism and this thing. I mean, culture power we started.
Resistance. Power and resistance.
Resistance. Power and resistance. Power and resistance is possible only at certain historical time and specificity.
Okay.
Now why it has not been possible and all that is the nationalism I try to find out and all that. The rejection of modernity.
Okay.
The rejection of modernity and all the modern values and all that. Woke up. You understand that word woke up?
No.
Hindi word?
What is that?
People have their places. People are born differently and they have their places. Woke up nahi samajhte ho.
Their habitus. Bourdieu and also
field and habitus. All that has achieved habitus.
I see.
Practice.
Okay.
These people mean by birth circumstances given to you.
Right.
Given to you.
Okay.
So you understand that. That is the culture.
Right.
That is the culture. I mean, so that is why that is the one dilemma I have been facing in the last 2 days. I mean, except your little bit intervention. Is why do we read Foucault and why do we read this? I mean, these are like spanners. No? If this particular spanner is useful in opening this nut here, I use it. I don't find it throw it out. Otherwise, they don't have value.
Tools.
But
certain perspective.
scholarship in that, oh God, I mean,
Yeah. That is part
so what
of
do you, so I developed also some kind of ideas on research.
Right.
Why do you do research? You know, following the social science and physical sciences, you do research. You want to explain reality. And then they thought it's a big change. They come up with saying interpreting reality, from explanation to interpretation. And these are the two things you will find in all the research books.
Okay.
He said, no, how about transformation? Critical theory. Oh, that is for activists. No, it's not anymore activists. Fact is a fact. We have published a book, Fact and Value Dichotomy. Fact is what you make of it. Value. And then Rufus was saying, it's not everything is value. But you cannot look into the timetable, what you call railway timetable, and say it's a value I give to this timing. I don't go at 8:30. 8:30 is understanding. You can interpret it anyway. You will miss the train.
You're right.
Certain social realms, certainly it is a value loaded. What earlier we thought is a given factual and all that kind of thing. So we are engaged in research for transformation of this concrete society.
Okay.
We don't have the luxury of Swedish people or the Norwegian and then said, I'm taking anything and then doing some research and all that kind of thing. The desperation we are in the circumstances to do research, we have to have come from the outside. Participate in the people's lives and go and see what is they are doing. And all. So these people talk about a lot of cultural studies. Stuart Hall once famously said that I can't see how people can conduct cultural studies, those who don't have one foot in activism outside. And then it went to America and all that, postmodernism and everything, blah blah, it went. But what we require is what we have to be concretely aware of why I am doing research.
Right.
So that way I have been trying to, according to my own understanding, trying to put on some little bit sense into some of these things, various ways by putting small booklets, writing sermons, mostly speaking and all that kind of thing.
So modernity is at the heart of your project again, modernity for change.
Yes. They say people have become post-structuralism. For whom post-structuralism is a reality? Postmodernism is whose reality it is. Maybe say a few girls here getting a chance to study in Central Universities. From here they will go to Hyderabad or Delhi. And then after 2 years you will say, I am in Nottingham, I am in Birmingham and all. It's okay, good. But then we are still struggling with the basic things.
We haven't even achieved modernity.
No,
we are in the
absolutely.
pre-modern
and
going back to the...
A lot of people, they ask me to speak on postmodernism. I said, what do you know anything about modernity? Then what do you call postmodernity? Is that what is it?
How can you go to postmodern without...
there is a Western academic tradition.
Right.
It's okay.
Euro-American.
So we learn that to understand the intellectual the process. But we have to equally learn what is the process that is going on within our societies here.
The realities of India.
And whether those things are useful in any way to kind of interpret.
Right.
I find that is a bit ambiguous. I mean, I can understand you have to be specialized in all this in order to pass out and then get a job and all that. That's okay.
Yeah, theoretical learning is essential.
Essential.
But the political reality
even
here...
for getting a job. And most people come here to get a job. And eventually they struggle 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, eventually get a job in some college and you get a lot of money.
Right.
Easiest form of making money in India is becoming an academician. Lot of money. And it is legitimate. I wouldn't say the money making is a good enterprise and this is the way it is. And but then I tell them, don't lose your soul. You understand and clearly you recognize you are by compromising, you are teaching these kind of things. But the moment one day you start believing in what you are teaching, then you have lost your soul. Try to keep that. And it's not easy, I understand it's not easy.
So what is the future of modernity here? Modernity is under erasure in India, under threat in India. The minimum kind of justice and liberty and equality, our constitution itself is being continuously suspended and dismantled and amended.
How can you implement a project of modernity in a group of things caught up in accident of history. What do you call South Asian, Indian subcontinent? How do you implement modernity?
Right.
What is modern to you is not modern to me.
Right.
You're a Malayali.
Right.
I'm a Tamil.
Right.
That's what the culture is very important. Cultural expressions of inequality in your culture, as expressed through the relationship between so-called lower caste and high caste, is different in our culture.
Right. Okay.
And what you are requiring by modernity is not imposition of Rousseau, Locke, or anybody else.
Okay.
It's a dismantling the discriminatory cultural practices. You have to invite this fellow, make him sit and cut talabala banana, that end of the banana leaf.
The plantain.
And it's not the middle part, it's the right edge part.
The tip.
And then feed me.
Okay.
They have to be invite. Because that is the kind of discriminatory thing that has to be. And so that dismantling of discrimination is different from culture to culture.
Yeah.
So historically, I should experience how my discrimination has been dismantled. And that is possible only in regional linguistic cultures.
Okay.
You can't bring, I tell you, you cannot abolish caste in India. I firmly believe in that. I cannot. See, most of those whose interest is in abolition of caste, they take annihilation of caste as the preliminary position, and from there on immediately they switch on to how lower caste can benefit from some concessions and some representations, etc., etc. Forget about the annihilation of caste, because you can't. The construction of this India is on caste.
Okay. So social inequality is inbuilt into the Indian.
Into the structure, Indian political structure.
Yeah. That is what they call the Indian ideology, Perry Anderson and others.
Yeah.
So only social justice we can think about, social representation and inclusion.
I mean that kind of thing. I mean that I am not. I will be there supporting and all that. But I am actually against this representation.
Okay.
People should present themselves. How can I represent you?
Because we are into a participatory social democracy paradigm.
See, caste-wise representation, the understanding is that the caste is sort of homogeneous, and so one man. No, even in the West, when certain homogenization through economy has been brought about, one man is very difficult to represent the constituency, entire constituency. Precisely because of practical difficulties, the representation is being filled. Otherwise, what Rousseau said is we have a democracy, popular democracy. But you can maintain representation, that is okay. But there must be something that I need not be represented.
But that is the system of governance here, the parliamentary system and the democratic system. So we cannot have a direct kind of presentation.
That is because you all trap us all into one kind of ghetto and then say this is democracy. You know, the nationalism is something our own. Right?
Okay.
That Nade is something our own. I feel the intimacy of Malayali. That you said Malayali. So then one fellow came and Jamia came and said, I said, what's your name? He said, Achha, they said some Ahmed or something. Oh, sir, I'm a Malayali, sir. You know that being is Muslim has nothing to do with being Malayali. I am a Muslim Malayali.
Right.
Religion is a personal thing. Religion is a personal thing, you know. Now you have brought it right in the middle of the public square, and then say that you are a Christian, you are this. So actually, one of the senior professors in JNU, where I put this nationalism, when I was preparing for a presentation to the press, He said, Aloysius, you should change your name. He said, sir, why sir? You are writing on nationalism and your name is a Christian, obviously Christian name. I said, why? Shouldn't a Christian speak about nationalism? No, it's a Hindu place, Hindu thing, and all that. No, sir, I will keep this name. And let the people reject it. Let the people reject it. There's no problem about that. Actually, my original topic was nationalism against nation. Then the OUP people say, you want your ideas to get through to people or get into problems. Then they suggested nationalism without a nation in India. Said, what about the internal, the substance? I said, it will go as it is. I said, okay, you put anything you want and all that. That way, what I am suggesting is that bringing this modernity project, I have a small booklet which I didn't bring here, I think, interpreting Kerala's social development. Those days when I was preparing for nationalism, I was struck by the transformation that Kerala went through. Even Tamil Nadu did not go through such a kind of ripple-like movements went through the Kerala. They fell short of making it into politics. But here we took up politics quite soon, and going to politics stopped the social movement. And that slowly that these people's movement, they are starting with the Ayangali. That movement started in Devikulam, 1825, 1800. 1800 they went and attacked the temple for temple entry. Not 1925. That is the latest this thing. So from there onwards,
that is the Vaikam Dalavakulam struggle. What happened in
Vaikam?
1806.
1806. Ever since that, why this is something fantastic. And then also certain advantages, like most part of your area was outside British rule, and the demographic balance is much better because Hindus, Muslims, and all that. These people left to themselves, they would really be a kind of one of the flourishing state. But then the fragments of Kerala got united and became a fragment of a bigger whole. Ever since then, you'll find the Varghese, Namboodiris and Menons and all that in UP and Madhya Pradesh. What are your IG, DIG, DSP, this, that and all that. Leaving the community in Kerala. Kerala's people survive quite a bit. But then what about Kerala? You see? But that is what happens, by following the present day methods of representation and democratization and all that, lot of individuals will benefit, But the cultural totality which we have achieved for the last 2,000, 3,000 years by making a language-based society and through that certain amount of give and take relationship and the peacefulness and understanding with each other and all that, that's all get decimated. In fact, I have another book by Indian history dynamics. Indian history is small kingdoms interspersed with big empires. And we had taken in history from Mauryas, Guptas and Mughals and then British. But then vast area, number of years, the period of history has been smaller kingdoms, and it is in those period of time language, literature, art and all that developed. That is why the insight is that modernity can be inscribed in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu it can be inscribed. In Telugu Desam, we can create a Telugu Desam, and as part of the creation of Telugu totality, we can create a modern Telugu totality.
What about the greater Tamilagam, the ancient Tamil country?
All that is constructions, later constructions. All those are invention of traditions that should help in making the present day society modern. You cannot substitute Kiladi, this thing has been going on. Kiladi, they are so advanced. No, they are not advanced. you are not advanced. You are still like them only. So many thousands of years. You can have thousands of Kiladi, but if you have a caste, then you are not a nation.
Yeah. Right.
So that singing the ancient glory comes up in order to reinforce the present day cohesion of the Tamil society. The Tamil Nam Tamilar Kachi, Seaman, and the whole gang of them is there. No? Where is Tamil? There is Coimbatore Tamil is different, and Kanyakumari Nagarkoil Tamil is different. Madras Tamil is different. The real Tamil is Tirunelveli, Madurai, and stops with Madurai. Tirunelveli, Madurai Tamil. All these that's not the correct way of speaking Tamil. No, a modernization of Tamil should be an inclusive phenomenon. And that Benedict Anderson and several other novels as the new imaginary and all
imagined
that
community.
Imagination must be actual inclusion. Not only linguistic inclusion is an indicator of social inclusion. All that is possible only in a regional scenario. So now the problem will be, how do we limit the onslaught of the imperial activities?
Yeah, you mean the internal imperial.
Internal imperial thing and so on. Without, people are running around for jobs, you cannot control them, and that is, there's no job. But still, without that realization, at least should be there.
Okay. So, do you see any hope in resisting this totalitarian or this internal imperial regime in India in the near future?
I still have without hope, I cannot continue to operate.
Right,
If there is no hope, I will withdraw myself into this.
Right.
If Pinari Vijayan or somebody else protect the Kerala, and Stalin or somebody does the same, Mamata Banerjee and all that is the same. If you find a few more identity, Hemant Soren maybe, also maybe the NCR, TCR, KCR and all that kind of. If these people keep to their region and strengthening the region, then the center would be weak. Because unfortunately, every one of them have ambitions to become the emperor. And they are now trying to persuade Stalin also. Kalaignar was very clear. He said, "This is my home, this is what I want to have, nothing more." But Stalin is likely to be persuaded. And that is the end of Tamil Nadu also. And also, we should have a kind of forum, Gramscian kind of forum, independent of, because from being a state members, people wielding power from as a state can do mighty little. They can't do. The meaning of the state, meaning of how to interpret the state, or meaning of writing Malayalam history, meaning of writing celebrating the abolition of caste and all that, will have to be keep on continuously be interpreted by intelligentsia. A few committed intelligentsia who are committed for the ideal of creating a autonomous society, Malayalam society. What about sovereignty? You want to give up on... you see, when a fruit becomes ripened, whether it falls or not, it's its own thing. I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to initiate a movement for separations. But what are you going to do by being separate? And yet you have to initiate right now. And that, I don't know, we see it somewhat in the south. Malayalis have comfortable accommodation at the socially they have said our nadu and namma nadu, they are all that very good, very clear. But they are hesitant to politicize that. I have a feeling that the elite of Kerala thinks that by politicizing that, they will be the losers. They will be the losers. So they want to have both this side and that side.
Right.
And the people can continue to be whatever they are and all that. And that intelligence people will have to... And that will be a dominance and resistance, like Gramsci said, no? What you call national popular. National popular. It will still have dominance, but not this kind of dominance and this kind of resistance. No? So there is some possibility of understanding hegemony and discourse and ideological operations and so on, and bring about some results. Not in this kind of chaotic kind of thing which is called Hindi, India. These are all semi-frauds, no? Fraudulent constructions. You know that the meaning of Hindi, according to the Indian census, is a combination of 48 languages. It was 64 languages. Then those languages people became aware, so they withdrew. Now the biggest application is pending is on Bhojpuria. But Bhojpuria, the fight is that if you Bhojpuria withdraws, there won't be any Hindi. Because number of Bhojpurias is enormous. Enormous. So the creation of Hindi as a majority language is a fraudulent construction.
It is a hoax, like Hinduism itself.
Hindu is a hoax. And so India is also a hoax.
Okay, so I hope your deconstruction and very ethical kind of critique of nationalism in India would continue, and all the very best for your present and future writing endeavors. Thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you. I enjoyed sharing my ideas with you.